Hello and welcome to MailRight. We have another workshop for you, which are free tips for real estate agents. And I have Jonathan here with me, who is the founder of MailRight, and I'm Adam Brown, the co-founder. And really today we're going to be talking about SEO, right, Jonathan?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is real estate SEO?
Yeah. And if you know what it is and you know how to use it, it will help you get more leads, even organically. So let's jump right into this. The first thing we want to talk about is a basic outline of what SEO is and how it's connected to a real estate agent's website. We hope it's connected, and if it's not, we'll help you with that.
Yeah, it's a big subject. This could be a multi-set of videos. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, but it's difficult. So what the fundamentally is that's SEO, search engine optimization, is basically giving what Google wants.
Mm-hmm.
Google dominates search, internet search. When you're looking for a service, a product, a recommendation online, what do you use, Adam? You use Google, don't you? It's just
Most people do.
You know, there are other browsers, there are other search engine. I know that you utilize yourself one of the alternatives, but the reality is that they've got over 90+% of the market.
Yeah.
And they dominate search. So to be found, to have your product, service, regionally, nationally, regionally, or locally, to have it found online, you got to give what Google wants.
Yep.
And
What is that?
And what does Google want? Well, Google wants the most relevant content that it can find that fits the parameter of a particular search.
Yeah.
Now, so basically, they want to give the best content. So when you do a search like yours, looking for the best real estate agent in Reno, or looking for the best brokerage in Northern Nevada, when you do a search, it wants to give you a selection of answers to your that you feel, after you look at what is returned to you, that it's done a good job, that it has done what you require. And that is the fundamentals. But like all fundamentals, there's a lot of detail behind how does Google decide what is the most appropriate content to answer a particular question, a query that somebody is put in their browser. How does it make that decision?
And so, if you even back up before that, if someone didn't know who you were and you're a realtor, how are they going to find you, right? So most people are going online. And I think in 2021, 44% of all property buyers start by looking for properties online, which in 2022, especially with the pandemic, all that stuff, it certainly has increased exponentially. And so, you want to rank high, like Jonathan was talking about, and the SEO will help create the organic, search traffic for your website so that you can get these leads, and get them consistently too, if you're doing it right?
Yeah. So what happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and what is different now is social media and video and mobile. These have changed what you, as a real estate agent who wants to be found online, has to provide Google. Because 5, 7, 8, 9 years ago, having a reasonably good website with good IDX functionality. IDX
Hmm.
is the technology enables you as a real estate to use your local boards, MLS, and display the properties in your area onto your website. Having a pretty good IDX feed and having those properties on display was probably, if you had a reasonable website and it displayed the properties in a reasonable way, you were probably 80% ahead of your competition, and that would generate traffic on its own. That
Hmm.
is not the case anymore. It's still important, very important, if you're really serious about this, to have have a good IDX on your website,
Yeah.
because you are
Yeah.
a real estate agent, and if you want people to come to your website, consume content, but the IDX won't be the thing that drives them to the website, but it's the thing that you got to provide that
Yep.
keeps them on the website, and then they will contact you. So it's no longer the driver to your website, but it's still a key factor which you should have on your website. Did that make sense, Adam?
Yeah, totally. If people are looking online, if you don't have properties that you're selling on your website, that's going to backfire on you, right? And you're not going to get
Well,
leads.
Well, it is expected that that is your
It
job,
is.
the buying and
Yeah.
helping people buy and sell property. So
Yeah.
that it's a part. It would be like being a web designer and not having any sites on your website, any
Yeah.
demos, or not talking about web design on a web designer's website. It's going to
Yeah.
come across as a bit lame, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess I'm highlighting that only because I work and we work with realtors who still don't totally get that. And if you don't have properties in search options to look for properties and to sign up, for specific types of properties and things like that. I mean, it's what you do for a living, so you got to get on this, and we can help you, of course, with this because we do have some great plans that can, dial this in for you.
Yeah.
So,
So what we do is one of the great things where we utilize WordPress
mhm.
to build our websites, and it's very SEO friendly. It's one of the most SEO friendly platforms
Google loves it.
that Google really does. A well optimized WordPress website that's fast to load, that's hosted well, and but then it's got to be attractive. It's got to be easy to use. It's got to be branded. People judge a website in 5 seconds. And if they're coming to your website and leaving very quickly, that will affect your SEO ranking, because a very quick, what is called a bounce rate, a very
Yeah,
quick
that's what I was
bounce,
gonna say. Is that a
it,
bounce rate?
yeah, that will be detrimental. If they come to your website and they stay on your website and crawl, look at the various pages and spend a reasonable, that's a really strong indication to Google that your website is providing strong content and is
Yeah.
useful to its target audience. And the speed of loading, especially when it comes to mobile, if your website is slow to load and hard to use on a smartphone, on a mobile device, that will have a very strong detrimental effect on how Google sees your website, Adam.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's got to be relevant. It's got to be fast. I didn't even think about that. That's a good one, Jonathan. And it's got to be practical so that
You,
people can find what they need.
it's called usability in the
Yeah,
trade, Adam.
usability and user experience is important as well for Google and rankings. So,
So,
okay.
so to move it on, because I just said that IDX and property search is important. It's one of the
Hmm.
things that's expected, but it no longer will be the driver that drives people to your website. So what will be the driver that drives to your website? Well, it is super local, super focused content. We've done a number of videos about what we call evergreen content and blogging. Blogging is difficult for a real estate agent because you're busy and the demands vary, and Google wants regularity, quality and regularity. That is extremely difficult for our agent to provide. We can help with that, but to provide really regular, good quality blogging content that will have a real effect is not cheap to do. But the good news is that you don't have to do regular blogging. You can produce what is called evergreen content.
We talk about that some.
Which is content that needs a reinvestment. Either you invest and we can advise you, or we can help you produce this quality evergreen content. And we know how to produce content which Google is going to be delighted with. And the good thing about this evergreen content is it normally only needs to be updated every 6 months to every 12 months, refreshed, as we say. And by having good evergreen content on your website, you're going to be 80 to 90% in front of the majority of your competitors locally. Would you agree with that, Adam?
Yeah, definitely. And, Evergreen is basically just kind of that information that doesn't change very often. So when it's on your website, it's, it could be FAQs, or it can be different things about specific things in the city you live and things like that, they're always going to have those parks, right? Maybe the update might be additional parks that have been built in the area, or dog parks or things like that. So Evergreen is very crucial to your SEO, like Jonathan was saying. So be thinking about that.
The typical, but you don't have to, you just need to build it out so it's just a little bit better than your main competitors. So by doing some searches, and we can help you do this research, it doesn't have to be top tier straight away. You just need to be a bit better than what is offered at the present moment. So, and it's surprising how poor in actual real information terms and the way it's displayed that most of your competitors are. So it does, it will need an investment if you're doing it yourself, or it will need some financial investment if we're helping you. But we're talking about 4, 5, 6 pages of really targeted content, and then a plan of action to slowly build that out. And it can be about your local schools, it can be about different attractions, about the history of the area, the transportation, especially information if you're trying to pitch your website to people that might be moving into your city or region.
Yeah, that's huge. What about as far as the term NAP, NAP, with the name, address, phone number? How important is that for local search SEO?
Well, you're going now into a subset of SEO, which is local search. And there is definitely a difference between national, which really doesn't apply to real estate, because real estate, when it comes to brokerages or agents or boutique, we're not talking about national SEO. And to some extent, especially when we're talking to agents, we're not even, it depends. No, I was going to say that regional doesn't apply, but that would be correct. It's it's a mixture of regional and very specific local, city, town, subsection of a region, which
Okay.
so there is a crossover from so in northern Nevada, if you're an agent in Reno, which is the major city in northern Nevada, um, you want, if people are doing, there's a subset of areas like Carson City, Lake Tahoe, Truckee. There's satellite cities and towns that people are looking to move to, which make up northern Nevada. So it depends if you want to show up in search when people are looking for northern Nevada, but specifically also if you're based in Reno, the areas in Reno, basically there's certain northern Reno, southern Reno, northwest Reno, and there's even subdivisions in that Pacific that you can aim your content. But the main difference is that local search is dominated by mobile phone.
Good to know.
It is 80% of the searches that people do for content that has a very local focus to, they're searching on a mobile device. And Google, because you're utilizing a mobile device, Google knows where you are. It knows roughly, not precisely, but pretty well where you're doing that search. Which it does. It knows also if you're utilizing a browser, but because you're utilizing a mobile device, it presumes that you're really looking for much more focused content than if you were looking on a desktop. So it tends to give you more different types of content than if it senses that you're utilizing a desktop or a laptop. Is that making sense, Adam?
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, I never really, I guess, thought of that, but it's very true. You know, when you're on your phone and you're doing searches, it's usually like, you know, restaurants near me or whatever it is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you could be visiting a city
yeah,
and be like realtors, best realtors near me, or best realtors in Bend or wherever you live, right?
yeah,
So
it's called geolocation
yeah,
content. That is
yeah.
the kind of quasi-technical term for it. So that's why it's really important that your website be very mobile friendly, fast, easy to use on mobile devices. And the more focused your content and your evergreen content is, and the more signals that you give to Google about, so Google has no hesitation around tagging all the images correctly, having the right page titles, having good meta descriptions. I'm throwing out a load of tech gook here, folks.
Yeah, you're getting a little deep here. It's good though. People need to get stretched.
But we can explain it all to you, and either we can help you do this or we can show you. It's really important that you tag everything because you're then, in SEO talk, you're giving all the correct SEO signals to Google and its spider technology, which is what is utilized to index your pages and your whole website.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hey, quick little break. And we do these because we want to help you grow your business. They're free workshops. We hope they're helpful. If you have been enjoying this, we'd love for you to just give us a thumbs up on this video. Click that subscribe button and pound that notification bell so you can get updates on when our next free workshops come out. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what else is there? I mean, there's kind of what is SEO, how it's connected to the real estate agent's website, some local search SEO details, and some of those
Yeah, we
differences.
could
What
do a
else?
whole. We probably will either
Yeah,
next week or in the near future do a whole video about local SEO
yeah.
and how it fits in, because it's really important to understand the difference between national, regional, and local SEO.
Hmm.
The next thing is the importance of YouTube, because
YouTube. Who owns
YouTube.
YouTube?
Oh, I wonder who could own YouTube. Oh, yeah, that's Google. That's Google.
Hey, ding, 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 ding.
Now, obviously, you got to go what is called super local with your evergreen
Hmm.
content, because a lot of and it's some more techie talk, SEO talk here, folks. You're only going to compete on semi long tail. Long tail, what that means in SEO is a search that's more than between 5+ words put together. If you put in best real estate broker, you put best real estate agent Reno, you're going to come up with a mixture of the big franchise brokerages, Zillow and Realtor.com, because they spend a lot of money, and a lot of their actual content on lot like Zillow, Realtor.com, and some of the big regional brokerages and some of the big franchise brokerages isn't what we call in the SEO industry deep content. It tends to be very shallow, very
Hmm.
broad. But what they do have, and I'm sorry, I am throwing out a lot of terms here, but it
It's
goes
good.
with
I
it.
like this.
What they do have is what is called domain authority, and you can't fight them. It takes a long time. It's not impossible, but it takes a long time if you're a single agent and you're trying to build your website to build domain authority. And the domain authority is a mixture of different signals that shows that your website um, is really influential in the particular sector which it's trying to rank for. That it is a authoritative voice, that it
Hmm.
has credibility with Google, and that takes a long time to build. And but the good news is, if you build domain authority, and that might take a year, 18 months, 3 years, the good news is it's very slow to lose it. So
That's good to
it's
know.
hard to build, but it's very hard to lose. And
Hmm.
Zillow, and the large franchise brokerages, um, because of the amount of factors, the signals, which are links and a lot of other factors that nobody actually knows. We've got a pretty good understanding of what Google's looking for, but the mixture is extremely complicated because they are looking at over 200 to 300 different signals that they utilize to make a judgment about domain authority. Is that making any sense, Adam?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to YouTube, like what should realtors be doing on YouTube? I mean, are you talking same, similarities
No,
between.
this is the great news, because it's harder, especially for the franchise and for Zillow, for Realtor, for the franchise. It's much harder for them to get a team out and take videos, and
Hmm.
especially videos about particular areas of your city or region, about subsets, about the schools and that. So they're just not going to spend the time, and it's just harder for them to get do the videos, get them edited, get them up on YouTube. that's a golden opportunity for you, because you can have a video rank, and then if you place it on your website, first of all, as long as you do some basic SEO, where a lot of people go wrong with videos on YouTube is that they don't do any YouTube SEO. So the title, it's really dominated where your video will get any traffic by its actual title. It is one of the main factors. And there are some free or inexpensive tools that show you how difficult it is to rank for your YouTube video by how much competition the title will have. So what you're looking for is a title that's getting good traffic but isn't too competitive. So finding that, but it's a lot less competitive than traditional SEO, article-based, basically written material. So you can have a YouTube, long as it's optimized title-wise, showing quite rapidly. And then if you have that video on a specific page that's set up correctly in page title and has some good written content, and the images are tagged correctly, that page, it will increase the ranking of that page much more quickly as well.
Okay, and then how important is, I know the thumbnail is huge too with YouTube, so kind of be aware of that. And
yes, the thumbnail, thanks for pointing that out. It's the thumbnail, and because they're looking very similar to signals as traditional page-driven SEO. They're looking how many people click the video to watch it. How long do they stay? Do they watch the whole video, or do they bounce off the video? No, they probably only watched as soon as they saw my ugly face, Adam, they were probably off this video away. But hopefully you've been watching this, that, if we get a few people watching this video, that's a strong signal to Google that this was a good quality video, that we had good value information in it. Yeah. And of course, your beautiful face encouraged them.
Your voice. You got the voice and the accent.
Thank you. They are signals to YouTube that the video had value. So to get people to click on the video, it will be the thumbnail and the title that will drive them to make a decision to click the video. And then you've got to provide value in the video to keep the person watching it.
Yeah. And then how we could probably do a video just on YouTube alone, yes, but we are
going to do.
Right. Description, there's tags, things like that too, that I guess we could probably go into at another time, but be aware of those things and fill them out, use them, use keywords, of course, is kind of a good staple as well to kind of maximize that. So, all right. How about images and why are they so important to SEO, if we kind of nail that one?
Well, because it's people are very visual, and most people don't tag their images. So Google's got a whole search. When you do a search, it has videos, images, so you can click images and it shows you all the images. It's most of your brokerages and things like Zillow and Realtor, they won't tag their images religiously. So it's really quite easy to, as long as you tag all your images correctly, it's really quick. It's really less competitive to show so when people click, I tend to forget about it because I don't click the image that often. But a lot of people, but when you look at the statistics, a lot of people look at the images before they look at the text.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's forgotten because I don't do it. I presume others, but the data proves me wrong. So that's why, and it's really by tagging your images and having good images, it's really quite rapid, and it's a way very similar, like I say, of putting your videos on your evergreen content. By tagging your images and having lots of images, and having pages where you have libraries of images, where you have the reason why you see that in a lot of modern web design is it's shown up in the image search and it's feeding back to the website. So it's an SEO technique and a legitimate one.
Yeah. And so just to be clear, and so the audience knows, when you say tag, we're not talking about like, what did you name the image file when you uploaded it?
Well, it's one of the factors.
Right? It is, right? That does play a role.
But when you upload the image, there's a field that gives, because
you can add like a description to it and a title to it.
They used to not to be able to, but things have changed a little bit because with artificial intelligence and image recognition, actually Google can scan a lot of websites, and actually, even if the images aren't tagged, they can understand the images.
Might as well help them out, though, right?
But you're helping them out, but Google's technology had, especially around image recognition and the utilization of artificial intelligence. They never used to be able to images unless you tagged them. But it still is a way of getting your images and link, and then Google will show them. The more people click and then go to your website, that is more traffic. That is more of a signal that's showing that your website has authority.
Yep. Okay, and we kind of have talked about this last point throughout the entire time, but as far as why the content is still key to a successful real estate SEO. So, I mean, remember the evergreen content, like what Jonathan went over. It's got to be highly informative, be city specific, name the city. Some of the iconic things about where you live, those keywords also help. What about using backlinks? We didn't talk about that a lot.
Well, it is, because it's the most hard, but it's linked for you. It is still it was the factor that Google built their whole empire on. When the two founders, when they were at Stanford, when they were in the computer science, doing their computer science degree, they were doing their PhDs. It was one of the founders' PhD paper was about how you can judge the quality of separate websites, and you judge it by who links to a particular website and a particular content. The more external links that decide to link to a piece of content, that is the highest quality indicator that content has value.
It's super helpful too, right? When you're reading through something online and you can click there and open up another link for something that's resourceful.
It's one of the core things that makes web pages and the internet different than books or magazines. But the other factor is that all backlinks that link aren't all rated the same. If you have if you have a link from a government website or from the New York Times or from or authoritative news organ, regional news, let's say you had a piece and your local news channel that had a website, they did a write-up and they linked to your real estate website. Well, that has enormous value in Google's eyes. So not all backlinks have the same value. You can have 20 backlinks from a low value domain authority, and it's linked to what we said about domain authority. Or you could only have one link from what Google sees as an authoritative website, a news website. And that one link could have more domain authority than 20 lower ones.
Yeah, that's good to know. And in those backlinks, basically are as an example, is if your brokerage, say, wrote a blog about why real estate SEO is important, and they happen to do a backlink to our blog here, that's what it's like. So then you'd click on that, you'd see our video, you'd read our blog and all the content about it and the relevance of it, how that pertains to what our website is and the services we offer and such. So that's what backlinks are and how they work. And they're obviously very powerful.
Just to finish off, obviously I probably lost half our audience, 2/3 of our audience, because I've gone really deep, haven't I?
It's good. I like it.
But the good point here, folks, is don't get disheartened, because it's really dependent on what your competition. And I can tell you, you wouldn't think this is the case. You think, oh, the competition is so intense. It's 2022. It's just not worth me. The truth is 90% of your competition are hopeless. They haven't got a decent way. It's very shallow content. It's very boring content. They've got terrible looking websites.
It's duplicate content that they just copy and pasted.
They've got no originality. They're not prepared to spend any money, any time, any effort on their websites, most of the competition. So it's really dependent, but there's other people that really understand this. So it's normally 80 to 90% are hopeless, and the top 10 to 20% really understand how important all this is.
Yeah.
You want to be in one of those 10 to 20% that understands and actually does something about it. You don't want to be the 80, 90% of most agent of the herd. I'm sorry to use that term, but the herd. You don't want to be one of those, because you want to be successful. And this is one of the ways of being a success.
Yeah. And, I'm a fan of the philosophy, do a few things and do them well. And if all of this seems overwhelming to you and you're just not at a place where you want to completely understand the depth of it, we have different plans that we can do much of this, if not all of it, for you, with websites, with reviews, with blogging, with imagery and tagging those things, and building SEO. So
sorry to interrupt, but I just want to point, we have a plan where we provide you a really good basis, and we provide also technology that helps market the website. Then we have a plan where we have a weekly where you can join, where you can bring a problem or have a question, and it's based on Zoom. We have a weekly Zoom where we discuss with a group of agents, and then we have options and plans where we do this for you. So we give you, depending on where your budget is or where you are, we give you options.
Yeah, and it's super worth it. So, well, I hope you enjoyed today and you learned, more about what real estate SEO is and how to implement it. Jonathan definitely went deep, and I loved it myself. Hopefully you did, and you got a little bit stretched. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to, again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and then hit that notification bell. And thanks, Jonathan, for all your input and sharing your mind with us today.
It was great, Adam. We'll see you soon, folks.